So today we are introducing our Sunday sessions. So these are going to be a series of talks with some of our favourite artists and creators that we house here at Adorn the Common. So we can get to know them as people, as creatives, as business owners, as humans. The first guest that we have as part of our Sunday sessions is artist, textile designer, mentor and teacher, Eleanor Nadimi. So thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure.
I don't really want to kind of get into your favourite artists and all that bullshit. It's a bit, nah. So I want to get to know you. I want to get to know you. I want to dig deep and find out, what makes you tick and what makes you you and where you come from and, your kind of motivations and inspirations in terms of, how you live your life. So I know you're from quite a big family.
Yeah.
Where are your family from?
My mum's English, my dad's from Iran.
Okay.
They met here. They met in a club on Kingley Street when they were 19. A long time ago.
Stood the test of time. Tell me about your kind of first loves.
Oh.
Doesn't need to be a person.
Yeah.
Can be an animal, a person, a job. Like, kind of, when did you first kind of discover the feeling of love, I suppose?
Oh, Trev, that's a question.
There you go. You've got to answer it, not me.
I do. Oh, first love. Wow. Well, it definitely wouldn't be a boy because I feel like I felt that before those came along. I just think just love of just being. I know that sounds really like abstract, but I just remember as a kid, I loved doing stuff, being outside, playing, just the act of doing things.
Okay.
It made me feel alive, and that's something that's carried through with me till now.
And is that, when you say doing things, do you mean creating things, building things, or just kind of being out in nature? Like,
I think just a bit of everything. Like, we would always create stuff at home. Like, I remember we had a really big kitchen table, and my mum would draw with us, and we'd always be making stuff. And I don't know, I just felt like my mind was so engaged, and I just loved that sort of feeling that it gave me.
Your dad's an artist as well, isn't he?
Yeah, and my mum, actually.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, they both studied art and worked in creative jobs.
Is this perhaps why you kind of took the route that you did? Were you influenced by your parents? Did they kind of push you in that direction, or did you make that choice for yourself?
I mean, we were definitely influenced, all three of us. Like, my siblings, we're all creative. And we were really just encouraged to do what we wanted to do, whether that was art, something a lot more academic, whatever it was. They always encouraged us to just go with what felt right. I think they would have loved for us to be like doctors and lawyers and, a slightly easier path, because they understand what it's like to be a creative, but they always support whatever we want to do, which was really nice.
And do you think there is ever any competition between you and your siblings?
No, we're all right, actually. My brother's an actor, so that's completely separate. And then my sister, she draws as well and creates, but she's much more about the body. So there's no internal competition.
In terms of like still life drawing and stuff like that?
Yeah, she does a lot of life drawing.
You ever modelled for her?
No, maybe I should though. I've modelled for my mum before.
Butt naked?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I've
got that drawing on my wall actually at home.
And I was like getting naked in front of your mum. Like, obviously she's your mum, like you would have got naked in front of her a million times, but like as a model and being like studied.
I think when you're in that context though, it's not personal. It's such a subjective thing, life drawing, that what someone else sees another person won't, and it's actually really quite an interesting, quite liberating experience to be drawn.
And have you been a life model for anyone else?
No,
Other than your
but
mum?
I would do. I've just never really had that
Okay.
situation.
So you're not
happened.
really. So
I'm not shy.
Okay.
Like I'm quite happy to embrace who I am. And
So you feel quite confident with your body and kind of being
yeah,
exposed.
yeah, especially for that sort of purpose.
Okay.
You know. Yeah, it's quite a fun thing to do.
Okay, that's a good one to know because we're going to start doing some live classes soon.
you
So
are?
when we need a model,
Well,
well, we'll see. I'll be hitting you up. I told you I'd get something out of you.
You did. There we go.
I suppose going on from that,
Yeah.
like, do you ever kind of feel conscious about your body or feel embarrassed, or have you ever been in an embarrassing situation where you've been kind of naked or you felt a little exposed? Come on,
I mean, no, but I haven't been in a situation where I felt like, oh, but everyone has their things, don't they? We've all got our insecurities, but I've definitely grown to love those, and that's also like part of my business as well with the textiles. As you know, I've got this women collection, and for me it's all about embracing the individuality of a person, and it's really taught me to love myself a lot more.
Okay.
And you know, like, you've only got one body, you've got to really enjoy it, and it's changing all the time, especially, you know, I'm in my mid-30s now, like, things are starting to move in ways that they didn't before, and you know, I've got to embrace it now before they change even more.
I know. Tell me about it. I am hairier, wider, heavier. I just kind of give up now. I'm just like, look, just let it be. Just let it kind of hang out. Let it spill out. And I used to care. I used to care a lot. And now I really do not give a shit. If I want to eat cake and have Guinness in the bath, that's what I'm going to do.
You should.
You know, and I don't
live in the moment.
I don't let it worry me anymore. So
no, I mean, if I think about the amount of times I've ruined my own evening just from feeling insecure about how I look or what I'm wearing, or maybe I don't feel like I fit in, like, it's such a waste of time.
And a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And you could be channeling that in much more kind of positive direction.
Absolutely.
So yes, well done.
Thank you.
I suppose kind of going into your kind of professional life, I want to hit, obviously you've got the dream job at the moment. You do what you love, you've got your own brand, you're an artist, you're a mentor, you do amazing things, you support wonderful causes. Like, what shit jobs have you had? Have you ever not enjoyed a job? Because it sounds like everything you're doing at the minute, you absolutely love. And, you know, I want to find a flaw in you, Eleanor.
I mean, there's plenty. There really is. I'm so fortunate to do what I'm doing now, but it hasn't always been that way. I've worked many jobs, from working in, like, Marks and Spencer's food hall to bars, collecting glasses at the end of the night, and working in cafes, hospitality just in general. And when I got my first design job, it was a job that I was like, categorically, no, I don't want to do a job that's designing sort of t-shirt prints for a high street brand. And that was the first creative job I got offered.
And was that what it was?
Yeah.
Doing what you didn't want to do?
The exact description of what I didn't want landed in front of me. And you know, so you've got to take different things as and when they come to you.
How long did that
It
last
taught me
for?
so much. 5 years. Long time.
Oh, so it took you a while not to do the shit job.
Yeah, it did. But I think sometimes putting yourself out of your comfort zone and just doing something that's completely unplanned teaches you way more than the thing that's comfortable.
I suppose you know what you don't want to do then, don't you?
Yeah, and there was a lot of perks. I know I couldn't have started my business without working in that environment. So it was great. I learned loads, but it was not ideal.
And did 1985 come about after you left that job?
Exactly.
Or so it was, you know, it was 5 years there and then straight into having your own business. So there was no like series of you know, unwanted occupations before you got there. You were like, right, I've had enough now. This is what I'm going to do straight in.
Yeah, it's just the one job that I was like, this is not for me. But I stuck it out, learned everything I could, saved everything I could. until I really felt ready to launch my brand, which is
And
why it
you're
took 5
self-funded?
years. Yeah, completely bootstrapped, which is a massive challenge.
It is. I mean, I know exactly how those challenges go.
Yeah.
Like we set a dawn up with nothing. Like we put all of our own money into it, all of our own time. We haven't asked anybody for anything. It's just, you know, we are our team. We don't have a team of people. We have amazing friends and artists that support us, but they're kind of the core of what we do has been kind of financed and leveraged against everything that we have. So, you know, and it's hard work. So I get it. So power to you. It's amazing. And you've been going how long?
7 years.
Yes, you have.
Which is really great. Yeah, it feels like a dream. It's gone so fast.
From one kind of joyous conversation around businesses to kind of other pleasures, like what are your guilty pleasures?
Oh,
like what do you do that you probably shouldn't?
Oh, I'm gonna sound so boring.
No, I want to know.
What do I do that's guilty? Trev, I don't know if I should say this on camera.
You can. All right, I'll start. So my guilty pleasure is, I love it when the dogs lick my feet. There you go. There's mine. You're up next.
Oh my goodness. I don't have one for you.
I don't
I'm
believe
so
you.
Sorry.
I don't believe you.
I love yours.
All right, okay. So, worst date scenario.
Oh, okay.
You must have had some of those.
I've been single for a long time. I've been on many terrible dates. All that you can imagine, from men forgetting their wallets to being catfished to just ending up in scenarios where I need to go home now.
So, yeah, I mean,
It's crazy out there. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't got any recent stories because obviously I've been with Jay for almost 8 years now, but I went on some absolute clangers to like people rocking up with one tooth or stacked heels, and I'm like, okay.
It's not yours.
See ya.
I mean, that's someone's dream. But I just want to be sold the dream from the beginning. Don't like set me up to be thinking, you know, going to meet someone that I'm definitely not.
Dinner party wish list. Like we all have our kind of favourite artists, we have our favourite musicians, we have our favourite this. If you could have a dinner party with 8 people, who would you want there? Dead or alive? Anyone you like?
Wow. That's a good question. 8 people. Well, I'd have a mixture. I think I'd probably go with some musicians, some artists.
You don't even have to go for 8. If you don't want to cook for 8 people, you can slim it down to 6 if you like.
Maybe a takeaway if I'm doing it, to be fair. Let's see. Well, the first musician that comes to my mind is David Bowie. That would be great. I think he'd have amazing stories. I would want someone like Frida Kahlo. I think that I would love to learn more about just her and her way of being. This is a tough question. There's too many in my mind. I'd want some kind of philosopher, but I'm trying to think in my mind, who would that be? Teach me something about the world. Can we come back to the answer?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to
can
sit with that
indeed.
one.
We'll let that one brew for a minute.
Thank you.
You can ask me a question.
Yeah.
If you've got any.
Oh. Well, I mean, I know your guilty pleasure. I feel like we've crossed.
I mean, there are more, but that's as far as I'm going to go with this. Okay. I'm not going to give away too much too soon. You'll have to wait for the other ones to
be another
to
episode.
get. Yeah. I mean, maybe if I was drinking now, you might have, they'd come spilling out.
Yeah.
But after being a year sober, those secrets are usually locked tight. Yeah. unless I'm chat to anyone that was there whilst they were happening.
That's fair.
So I suppose what's coming up for you? Like what's on the horizon? Like what is the rest of the year looking like?
Wow. I mean, we've got 2 months left, which is not that long. And this time of the year is really busy for me with Christmas. So I'm going to be very busy with that, with 1985. But on a more exciting, creative note, I'm in the process of merging my textiles and my art together to try and create something that's a bit more sort of tactile and point of difference. So I'll be doing some of that, which is lovely. It's really important to make time to do the things that you love, as well as the things that are like need to be done now as a business owner, as I'm sure you know. So that would be great. And I'm also planning on going to see my sister in Australia.
Ooh.
So
is this going to be
if I can squeeze
purely
that
pleasure,
in.
or are you going to be using it as a kind of inspiration opportunity?
Pleasure.
Okay.
But if inspiration comes, great. That's
In
a
Sydney?
good bonus. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I can
So it'll be
squeeze
summer
that
there
in,
as well.
Exactly.
Bondi Beach in the summer.
Yep.
Great.
Perfect time to be there. Otherwise it'll be in the spring, but that's what I'm attempting to line up.
And what does your sister do out there?
She's a mum.
Okay.
She's got a 2-year-old, and she's a textile designer and an artist. Sound familiar? We're very similar. She's amazing.
So here's a question. With your kind of British Iranian heritage, has that obviously does that play a strong does that have a strong influence within your work? And if so, how has it?
It definitely has. I think it's had a strong influence on my life, actually, just in general as well. Even though I haven't been to Iran for various reasons, there's something in me that is so connected to that part of my heritage. So anything around me, I don't know, I just feel like I can relate to those things in different ways. I think having a multicultural background changes your perspective on life and people, especially living in somewhere like London that's so diverse. I have a lot more empathy for certain situations. But creatively, I mean, colour, pattern, all the tiles and colourful patterns and eclectic sort of mix of textiles and architecture that comes with the sort of traditional buildings that you get there, as well as people's homes and what people wear. There's so much inspiration that I feel a bit overwhelmed sometimes from it, and a lot of my work's inspired by that, as well as sort of looking at sort of mid-century kind of architecture too. But inherently, the Iranian part of me is just always there. I don't even realise it because it's such a subconscious thing, because it's part of who you are.
And do you feel that either one of those parts of you is stronger in terms of who you feel that you are? Do you feel more Iranian? Do you feel more British? Where?
I think I feel more British because that's what I know. Whereas the Iranian side of me, having not been, and just, seeing it from afar and hearing stories from my dad and old family photographs and, experiencing mosques and other, beautiful buildings, those kind of things do inspire me massively with my work. but I think as a person, the Britishness is sort of a bit greater, I think.
Are you religious?
I'm not, no. I believe in something, like I'm quite spiritual.
Okay.
But I don't believe in religion or rules, things like that. I find that a bit sort of confining. But yeah, I think it's definitely made me much more of an individual, mixing those two together and how I choose to interpret them. Yeah.
So you never have any kind of guilt about things, so you go, oh, like the Catholic guilt, oh my God, I'm doing this, I shouldn't be doing this. Like, you know, you haven't had any of those kind of influences in your life that make you think, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this, or I shouldn't be taking my clothes off and being a life model for my mum.
Absolutely not. It's the opposite,
That's
actually.
good.
Like, I hate to live with regrets. So I'm like, if I want to do something, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
And if I don't like the result, then I know.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't try to let those things dictate how I live. Because then I think you miss out. You've got to try things to know if you like them.
So with that kind of free-spirited nature, like if you were dared to do something, for example, would you do it? You're like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to do it.
It depends what it is. I'm also a really shy introvert.
Okay.
So, you know, there's certain situations, especially social situations, that would make me definitely not do a dare. But yeah, if I feel comfortable and the environment's nice and we're, you know, it's fine. Yeah.
So like your kind of inhibitions, like tell me, like, is there something out there that you'd be like, oh my God, I'd love to do it, I'm just not quite there yet? In terms of like something that you would feel so liberated by, but you just haven't quite got there yet.
I don't think so, you know, because if I want to do something, I'm going to do it. Okay. And I feel like that's kind of the entrepreneur streak that we both have. I get really frustrated about dreamers and people who talk about, oh, one day I'm going to do whatever. And I'm like, but make that one day be now.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, if it means that much.
It is now or never, isn't it? It's like, look, if you've got an idea, get on with it.
100%.
Make it happen. Like you can. Like you and I are both testament to that if you've got an idea and if you've got, you know, if you feel the fire and the passion about it, as we do, like you'll find a way. Yeah. You will find a way to at least start it. Whether or not it has legs or whether or not it's going to be a success, if you start it, that's the first step to doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's tricky. It is tricky out there. Everything's expensive. Everything takes time. It's really difficult to kind of do it yourself.
Yeah. But I think there's always a reason to say no. You can always think of a reason to not do something.
Always.
And I think it's so easy to talk yourself out of stuff. But life goes by so fast.
So yeah. So for you know, for young entrepreneurs, young artists, young female artists and entrepreneurs, what would your advice be to them if they have an idea?
I would just say, really go with your gut and your heart. If it feels right and that's something that's important to you, really make the time or create the space in your life to be able to make something happen. Just the start. Then you get to see if you like it, and you'd be surprised how one little action can snowball into something so much more than that. I know it has for me, and I'm not saying it's easy. I've sacrificed a lot to be able to start my business, you know, quitting my job, moving country, setting it up, not socialising the way I used to, no holidays. Like, there's a lot of sacrifices. A lot of them are quite sort of superficial, some would say. But
easy to let go of.
Yeah, easy, but also difficult, because then everybody else is moving in their lives in a different pace to you. But what I was doing meant so much that it was worth it. So, I mean, everything has a cost, doesn't it? Whatever you do, whatever decision you make. So I would say if it really does mean something to you, to really take it seriously, so that you can live the dream life that you want.
Yeah, exactly. Those kind of sacrifices are the things that make the biggest changes.
Yeah.
You know, for me, for example, I am like over a year sober now.
Yeah.
And making that change for myself, making that decision, thinking, right, okay, this is not serving me right now. And as soon as I made the decision and completely stopped drinking, and obviously that changes your whole kind of social life and who you see, but for the business, it just kind of skyrocketed since then, because I made some healthy choices for myself. Therefore I was able to make healthier choices for the business, and it has, you know, we've moved to bigger premises. Our turnover has increased. We've invited more artists in. We're getting more attention from various other organisations, which again are kind of providing us with other streams of revenue. So those little changes and making sacrifices have really been what has propelled the business. So I completely understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
And I suppose you just have to weigh up what's important to you.
Yeah.
You know, do you want to go out and get pissed every night?
Yeah.
Which was lovely 20 years ago. And was lovely up until about 7 or 8 years ago, to be honest, until it wasn't lovely anymore.
Yeah.
But it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
So
usually the hardest things are.
Yeah, it was hard.
You know?
It was no fun. I was miserable.
Yeah.
Before and after. It was just, it was just adjusting and kind of getting used to not going out, and you know, realizing that, oh my God, like I can wake up without hangover. Fantastic. So yeah, lots have changed. Lots has changed.
Yeah.
All for the good.
Yeah.
So don't drink. I think we will wrap up. But before we do, I want to play a little word association game with you.
Okay.
So, do you remember Mallet's Mallet as a kid? Timmy Mallet?
Yes.
Okay, so you have to answer within like 2 seconds. Okay. If you take any longer, you lose.
Okay.
So, we're going to have like a $5 wager on this.
Okay.
Right? So, if I win, you give me a $5. In fact, if I win, I'll keep that painting there. If you win, you can keep Jay's bowl.
Okay.
Right. So I'm gonna start the word association game so it's whoever kind of continues for the longest. And if you go over 2 seconds or you stumble, then let's have a test run.
Can we do? Yes.
We'll do a test run.
I've seen it, but I've never played it.
So you have to say a word that is associated with the word that I say. It has to kind of go on and on until you can't do it anymore. So I'm going to start with nipple,
Boob,
tit,
lick,
foot,
dog,
Ernie,
Bernie.
Sanders.
Oh! Okay, that was the practice run, right?
Okay. All right, so
ready?
you start with a word.
Tea,
Cup,
drink,
eat,
smoke,
cigarette,
sleep,
she won your bowl. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So much for being our very first guest. Thank you for taking the time on a very rowdy Friday night, and give us a cuddle. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Oh, bless you.